We're live. Things aren't breaking. It's always. Seriously, the last two times we recorded this, we actually tried different software with different people recording, and things still went wrong. So I think it's just a Mind and the Martyr thing at this point. But hi, hello, we're here. Welcome to a very special episode of the Mind and the Martyr. Our interlude, as we're calling it, as of the last time we did this. Apparently Jesse coined the phrase, and I don't have the heart to argue whether it was a really good idea, so we're rolling with it, I think. But yeah, we are here with the wonderful Rochelle, and we're going to be diving a little bit into Mara and some of the conversations that they might be having with a certain someone. I'm very hyped to be going ahead and getting into that. Before we do, however, there are a few folks that help keep us going and on the air here on Friends Who Roll Dice. We have the wonderful folks at Dice Envy, which editing, hopefully, you should see a quick run of that. A little advertisement before that. You can go ahead and check in the chat for an affiliate link to grab yourself some wonderful dice. A little bit goes towards them, a little bit goes towards us, and you'll be getting some cool maths rocks out of it as well. So it's a win-win-win. There are also a couple of other groups. One of them is the wonderful folks at Grinding Coffee Co., a black LGBT plus owned coffee company. I'm going to try not to date this video too much, but if it's still in winter time, then there will be winter time stuff. There will be... If it airs in winter, there will be Christmassy things. If not, there will be spring things. They do some actual fantastic seasonal blends, all jokes aside. And they do a fantastic mixture of flavoured coffees, various different blends and strengths, and they even do some teas. They are wonderful. They are fantastic. They are super supportive of loads of different folks in the space, so you should go ahead and check them out. Grinding Coffee Co. is the website link there. Throw in FWRD for some money off your order. You'll be supporting them. You'll be supporting us. Go get some coffee. Do it. And, of course, we are a Roll20 Ambassador Spotlight stream. Roll20 is an online toolset that allows you to bring your pen and paper RPGs online and worldwide. You can sign up for free and begin plotting out all of those devious GM tricks immediately. Or you can sign up for a pro package and get a whole bunch of bonus features to level up your games. They're fantastic. They're really fun to use. I'm not very good at them, but they are incredibly fun to use. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. They also have a marketplace where you can pick up fully converted TTRPGs, whether that be, your favorites, the big ones, the popular ones, or the absolutely fantastic array of independent games that are coming out recently that a few of the cast and a few of our friends across Friends Who Roll Dice have worked on in the past. The scene is thriving right now, and you would be remiss not to try some out. So, yeah, go ahead and head on to roll20.net, try out some games, and have a bunch of fun with a bunch of awesome people. Roll20, this is how we roll. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into the session here. I'm excited. We've been planning this for a while, and it's gonna... Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Okay, so just to kind of set the scene a little bit. You and your party had just returned from Stonehaven. You had received the missives, the information, and you had expressed an interest of breaking away from the group at some point during your night at Stonehaven here in order to have a more private conversation. Wanted to ask, do you think that you're going back to your quarters, or do you think you would find a different space for that?
Oh no, remember Mara actually went to bathe
That's the
and
one. Yeah, you were in the
called
bathtub
him
where
from the
all
bath. Called
where,
him from the bath.
where all the best conversations happen to yourself, where you're
Right.
just like,
Right.
planning things out. That was the one. I knew there was something I was missing.
Yes.
Okay. So as we're kind of stepping into that situation, what's the what's the initial thing that you say to kind of get their attention?
So she disrobed. She actually put the flowers that she had taken from the temple when she first asked for help, and she put them in the bath. She made sure to take off her ring because she wanted nothing to prevent their conversation. And then she slipped into the bath and she's like, okay, I am home, I am safe, and I am comfortable.
There's a moment of silence before you hear or feel, I guess, this soft harmonic buzz that you've experienced before already. Thanks, Car. That you've experienced before already. Um, this kind of just calming, slightly otherworldly essence that kind of begins to connect with yours. You hear, "You have asked, and so I am here. I cannot guarantee how long this will be, but at least for the moment, I sense worries and questions and stresses, and I will do the best that I can to assist in that. Speak your mind."
So I guess first, what do you know about the being named Aravathun?
That is indeed a name that holds a reputation with myself and my people. They are not the first that we contacted, but certainly the one with the most force of will. Aravathun was the representative, I guess is the best word. Representative of a sect of their people. One of the first individuals that we truly treated with when that initial tear between the planes was created. I was not there for a lot of this conversation, so I only really know what the rest of my people disseminated. That they are a powerful individual, that they have much control over planar magics, as well as other kinds of magic that we're not entirely aware of, and that they are a greedy entity. The kind that may appear in some of your fairy tales, perhaps. The kind that is addicted to power, gaining it and taking it away from others.
Harmony says that the first time you all were able to just make an agreement and they went away. Is that true?
It is a half truth, a a lie by omission, I suppose. A deal was indeed made with Aravathun and their followers specifically, and our kind. But that was after a few altercations between Aravathun and our people that ended sourly. In essence, my people, the best translation that I would be able to find would be the Illimin. That's what you would call us. We were incredibly different. Incredibly juxtaposed, both in physical aspects and in connections to background powers, to magic, things like that. The bigger powers that float around the world, the universe. Ravathun realized this, and while treaties and cooperation was being drafted up in secret, they had abducted a few of our people and had begun to unmake them, to try and bring them down to their base components, is what he would say. We took that as a threat, obviously. Harmony was one of the ones that was involved in finding some kind of peace treaty, but it never quite went that way. When we realized that Aravathun and his followers were simply a small part of their civilization, well, we didn't want to wage war on good people, with good people. War is a dreadful way of solving problems. Ravathun kept pushing for it, so we decided to contact the rest of his people, the rest of their people, and lock them out. Essentially. Close up whatever rifts, whatever barriers we possibly could. And do what we could to make sure that that barrier was never opened again. Which it was. Eventually. That's also part of the reason why you found us in the state that we were in. We still are in. We had realized that while we existed, we were a threat. Both Aravathun, attempting to circumvent the barriers that were put in place, and also to the fledgling peoples. The individuals who had begun to survive and thrive on Vega. We didn't want to bring them to harm, so we reduced ourselves in a way that we would be brought back and resurrected when the time had come. Things went a little awry.
So if Aravathun is trying to get here because of the Illiman, while you were asleep and they tried to enter, do you know how close they came?
Interacting with you and parts of your history has informed me they were clearly making strides in the right direction with the influences that they've had over the years in events that have happened on this planet. Honestly, I think regardless of whether we were here or not, it seems like Aravathun has an interest in this plane and the individuals in it. I think it just so happened that we were the first ones to stumble upon them, but I think if any of your kind were the first, any of the multitude of species that have grown up around you, I think the same curiosity would have taken hold. But all signs point to that ability to bypass getting closer and closer.
The magics that you all used to seal the rift, is it was it on both sides? So was it their people and your people?
Yes.
And their side has fallen, I take it?
I wouldn't be able to tell you for certain, but that would appear to be the case. Although the speed of which events currently firework the speed of which events are currently taking place leads me to think and believe that perhaps someone, something, some people are also trying to claw at the barrier from this side also.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was the case. The Magic Kingdom has been up to no good as far as I can tell for a long time.
I have seen quite a bit, both the thoughts and memories that you have shared and the pieces of information that we've picked up over the last little while. It is concerning. I don't think the entire organization is to blame, but there's certainly corruption throughout it.
Well, the last time Aravathun was attempted a breach, people who rebuffed them were able to seal the rift, but I'm guessing it wasn't as strong as when your people did it.
I don't think that's the case. We are an old species and we are strong in our own ways, but we our capabilities and our cultures are very different. I would assume that either the meddling of whoever in the Magicanum is doing this is accelerating things at a strange pace, or Aravathun and their followers would have gained additional information on how to counteract the magics that exist in Veka, or perhaps both. I simply think that you had done, your people had done a commendable job of putting logs back into place to hold the dam, but the river is still rising. And eventually it will break.
Don't think it's enough to keep our two worlds separate anymore. I think a Ravathun has to be contained somehow, if not eliminated completely.
We were hoping that the situation would go very differently. And I can't speak for Harmony, but being the only other Illiman that is currently up and conscious, it feels ridiculous to have not made any steps in dealing with the threat ourselves. But I fear you're right.
Is there any way to use magics similar to what made your people less on Aravathun to maybe put them to sleep?
That is not a possibility that had come to mind. I do not know for sure, but I can certainly look into it.
So, the original reason I reached out those weeks ago that caught your attention is I don't know how I can protect my friends. This threat is something it took, sounds like your whole people to take care of. And I I feel I am lesser. I don't know how I can keep them safe going against this threat.
There's a subtle warmth that washes over you. Just a comfort, almost like a weighted blanket, kind of being put over you for a moment. Now, you and yours have been thrown into a situation that is far beyond anything you expected, and decided to fight it and to help people. We were an old species that lived through many, many events, and the first moment that we ran into something that we couldn't immediately deal with, we ran. We sealed it, we locked the door, and we fled. I certainly wouldn't call you and yours the lesser in this exchange. But I understand your plea. You are a capable individual. Although that perhaps isn't surprising, considering, but...
Considering?
Considering the path that brought you here. I can see through your
thoughts. It's been a lot.
Most certainly. I will help you. Of course I will. First of all, you asked. Second of all, you are right in the middle of all of this. Third of all, because, well, the Element owe the denizens of this planet for not dealing with the issue in the first place, but also, more importantly, I know that I couldn't say no even if I wanted to. This is a fixed point. It was always meant to be.
Fixed point?
A fixed point. You know this. You shared your mind with me. Interesting. There's a moment of silence before you hear. This is going to be a very out-of-hand question, but... do you trust me?
Yes. Of course I do.
All right. I think there is a... block. I think there is something that I'm understanding, but you're not. If you would, if you would trust me in this endeavor, I would like to project a little bit of that, mentally take you into a neutral space. It would be, the closest approximation would be a theatre of sorts. Your physical essence wouldn't go anywhere, but your mental faculties, as it were, would be simulated in this place. I can show you what I mean.
Okay.
There is a slow, soft, melodic hum, almost like a chant of sorts, that begins to fill your senses, although you can swear you hear it around you, but you know that it's not in this space. It's within you. It's in your mind. You feel a slow and gentle pull at your essence, almost as if someone's reached out and kind of taken your hand and is very deliberately kind of going slowly and gently in order to not scare you, to not give you a fright, to make sure you're all right. And your vision, whether your eyes are open or closed, your vision clouds over with this white haze. It begins to turn a little prismatic as it sits there for a bit. There's small shoots of purples and blues and yellows, and before you know it, you're standing in this space. You can feel the usual equipment that you would be carrying on you for a moment. You can see your swords. You can feel your hair across your armor. And standing in front of you in this small little space of just prismatic haze is this familiar, amorphous, prismatic creature that, again, tries to vaguely mimic a humanoid form as you appear, to help a little with your comfort. And they tilt a little bit and look you over once and just... Do you remember what it was like growing up?
Yes, it was lovely. It was some of the best times of my life.
Choose a moment. Can be as insignificant as you would like, but recite it to me.
So the moment she would probably choose is um, a moment where she saw her mom doing um, like military maneuvers, like drilling her underlings. I don't want to call them underlings, but the rest of the army. And her just watching this and being amazed at how well these folks moved in heavy armor, and just sitting there gasping at the togetherness of how they all moved as one.
As you recite it, you can see behind Sanctuary this scene beginning to form in your minds. And you see a little Mara. You see this drill sergeant-esque setup. You see on a slightly elevated platform your mother talking and moving them through the drills, and this collection of recruits and novices and squires all following through the motions and starting a little sloppy at first, as it tends to be, but eventually syncing up to this perfect rhythmic equilibrium. There's something here that you haven't noticed before. As this memory kind of plays out before you, there's a few people scattered around. Their faces are clouded. Kind of like someone smudged over a painting. They're there. You can see them. They're there. They're in armor. They're armed. They're part of the scene, but you can't place them. Sanctuary kind of points over to one. And they say, "What's his name?" Everything outside of my window is just very upset today.
I I don't remember.
Tell me another memory. A little bit later in your childhood, perhaps.
The next memory would probably be of when she met Shikari. She had traveled into the woods. They were at their uh, winter lodge, and she was just out wandering around, and she sees this, to her, extremely large, but at the time he was pretty tiny, a cat with foxtails. It was a Riskin. Uh, she had never seen one in person before, but he had gotten his foot stuck in like a mole hole, like where a mole lived. And he was trying to pull it out and he couldn't. And uh, she went over there and she took water and she poured it around the hole and widened the dirt around the hole so he could get out. But the whole time she's like staring because she's a little bit scared. I mean, this is a wild animal, but she didn't want him to be hurt, so she was trying to get him out of the hole, and that would be the memory.
Again, you see all of this play out. You see befriending your best friend again in real time. It's a very surreal situation to be in. You watch this all play through, and the memory continues, and when you eventually head back to the little lodge that was set up here, you see a few members of your family dotted around. A few more of these silhouettes, these smudges in your memory, just posted here and there. Shikari points to one of them again and says, "And what was her name?"
Why can't I remember? I remember everyone.
All right, let's try one more. What is the earliest thing you remember?
This memory would be of her in like a bassinet, and above the bassinet there's a mobile hanging, and it's a figures dancing. It was given to her by her father, and there are like little figures dancing as the mobile turns, and it plays music.
And is this very pretty, very high tech, considering the setting. Mobile begins to spin, and this very calming music plays out of it. You can see a few silhouettes off to the side, kind of like far back, kind of. I guess as much as your childish peripheral vision can get. You see your mother having a discussion while looking in your direction, and her warm eyes give you a moment of comfort. She looks towards the bassinet here. There's another individual who you would recognize, still in service to your family. In fact, one of the older guards. Gotten to the point where they were a little too old to guard anymore, so they kind of just handle a lot of the regular business on the Atwater estate. They kind of moved over from when you married. They're still around. You still see them relatively often in Endir. There's another silhouette off to the side, right by the door of this room. And again, smudged. And Sanctuary kind of tilts their little globulous head to the side. Just. Do you remember the rest of this night?
No. Why? Why can't I remember?
Allow me. And you almost see the entire day kind of just play out in front of you, like a little slideshow, just until nighttime. You find yourself startled. You begin to make a bit of noise and cry, as children are wont to do at that point. You see the lights kind of come on slowly, a few candles being brought around. You see a silhouette lean over. It's in the same outfit that your mother was in. But it's not her, it's smudged again. You watch them lean over. And from what little you can make of their facial expression, there's concern and guilt and pain just all across, and their body language is weak and placid and regretful. They look over you for a few moments before reaching into a small little pouch to the side, pulling out this small, curved, black and purple dagger that seems to be dripping with this purplish liquid. And they pause for a moment and take a deep breath. As they lean a little closer, You hear the smash of wood against other wood. There's frantic running around as the individual suddenly just attempts to bolt the best they can. You watch a flash of goldish magic as this silhouette, this smudge, is suddenly held in place. You watch as two of the guardsmen run up, disarm the individual, wrap around. There's noise and screaming, and you're crying, and you begin to feel this as yourself as well. You begin to feel this resonation of emotion through you. It rocks you to your core as it kind of vibrates through you. And as this kind of begins to overwhelm you, this sudden noise and anxiety and fear and paranoia over the bassinet, you see the clear image of your mother. And as this smudged individual is taken away by the guards, she picks you up and wraps her arms tight around you. There is a sudden, overwhelming cascade of comfort and warmth. And all of that panic, all of that fear, all of that distress and self-preservation and all of those subconscious emotions melt away. She just holds you there.
Mara would start crying. She's just bawling at this point. Why would anyone want to hurt me? My, my mother's not that important. My father's not that important. Why why try to murder a baby?
Sanctuary moves their hand, and you see this small slideshow again play. You realize that a bond between the child and their mother that young is always strong. But from that moment on, there was something else. There's this comfort that has always kind of sat with you. And yes, there were bumps in the road, and you know, a relationship between family is never smooth sailing, but that sense of alleviating anxiety and that sense of trust and security and newfound connection whenever you feel arms wrapped around you never really leaves during your memories here. Never really changes. And as the memories play out, you see those smudges begin to reveal themselves. And as more and more of your memories play out, you realize that they're guards, they're watch people, they're all of these individuals that you never remembered being there. You knew that there was this reputation of growing up in a family where they were so connected to the kingdom and things like that, but this is something else. This is all these almost repressed thoughts that have kind of are popping back into your head of all of these individuals who are here to watch, to protect, to guard. As all of these smudges begin to be revealed, Sanctuary says, because someone knew. Because someone somehow knew that you and your friends were going to be important to all of this. That this plan that had been thousands of years in the making had to go without a hitch. And they knew that you would be a driving force both for yourself and for your friends and your allies. They knew that you would be the one to inspire them, to guide them, to make some perhaps strange decisions here and there, but ultimately to help and protect and nurture. They knew that one day you would take a mission with your friends to explore the abandoned cave system that would serve as the gateway to our world, and that you would all put plans into motion to join this quest, to help us to stop this plan however you could. They would know that these seemingly small individuals who got in way over their head were exactly what the world needed.
I know war is not the way of your people. And I know previously I've said that maybe we try to put Arabathun to sleep. And then she looks up and says, but after this, I will wipe them from existence.
Sanctuary just nods once. I am here to help and to guide as best as I am able. Our people's time has very much passed, and it is you and yours that are going to decide what happens with this situation, what happens with this incursion. And Arabathun is a twisted individual. Not all of their people are like that, as I know you know. But Arabathun is one of the few truly evil things that exists. Time and time again, they have sacrificed people, hurt people, abused people to the point where to them, for all intents and purposes, Ravathun is in the right. Corrupting people beyond anything that could be done with simple magic. Maybe some of those people will be rehabilitated on this journey. But Ravathun certainly does not deserve it. And yes, we are not a warlike people. But there's a reason that the closest translation is sanctuary. Not only am I an essence of comfort and warmth and safety, but I am also a bastion of protection. I am a wall that many of him and his people have crashed against. That was thousands of years ago. But that does not mean I'm not capable of assisting you in the same.
Just promise me one thing. That whatever you do to assist me and my friends, please keep yourself and Harmony safe.
I strive to protect everyone whom I share an important connection with. And though our actual connection has been short so far, very clearly it's going to grow into something that is going to be important enough for someone to try and deal with. And it's the same with you and your friends. You've been together a substantial amount of time now, but very clearly you are on the right path, as scattered and strange as it might seem. If someone is trying to stop you that aggressively, then you are a unit that is going to be incredibly difficult to deal with for your enemies. I will make sure that I will do all in my power to protect all of us.
Now, out of character, any of those people that were revealed, are they anyone that she recognizes from now? Like, is Adam popping up? Or Kata?
Roll me a history check.
Okay.
The one roll of the session.
The one roll. 20? Dirty 20?
Whew, nice. No one that you immediately recognize at first. There is most of these faces you straight up don't recognize at all. There's no connection at all. As I say, there was a couple of the guards that weren't smudged that you recognize just from time in India. There's one individual who was smudged. it takes you a moment to kind of click. You haven't really seen him in regalia that isn't his usual. Even when you had met him on the road and you were traveling, um, he was still in his full kind of military regalia. But here, in a more diplomatic sense, you see Sinclair. Just as one of the idle kind of bodyguards that was posted here, for just a snippet in that memory. And if that memory were to, if you were to kind of go back and revisit that, they had had a few discussions with your mother directly, but other than that, they hadn't done anything specific that you would have been privy to. Yeah, not in the usual Ansayan regalia. As I say, it's more of a diplomatic setup. Yeah.
Sneaky dragons is.
Just you see it in the memory. You're just like, I knew it. I knew it. uh, the the memories fade out of this strange liminal space, and it's just you and Sanctuary now, and they give you an ample moment. They very clearly are poised as if they want to say something, even in their weird amorphous blob form. The body language is very clear, but they're very clearly giving you a moment to kind of just sit with your thoughts and process for a bit. And
You know Mara's gonna look up and say, "Can I have a hug?"
they can't really chuckle, but they would. You watch as this blob form kind of moves forward and slowly begins to wrap these two tendrils around you. And it's like hugging jelly. It's real weird. But there's this odd warmth about it. But yeah, it's super weird. It's like hugging jelly. And as they hold you there for as long as you need, they'll wait before they ask. I am sorry that you had to have this discovered in an unpleasant way. But as much as I would like to give you a moment to sit and process things, I also want to make sure that you have asked everything that you need of me before I take a respite. So, if there's anything else you would like to know that I could possibly answer, then pray tell, let me know.
Oh, how will your help work? Like, do I just call you and say, "Yo, Sanctuary, I need some help," or
I see. This is the first time that that any of us have done this in this kind of way. For now, it's probably best if we start from the beginning. I don't know how much this connection is going to tax you, or myself for that matter. So let's slowly ease into things. there are a few. There are a few arcane tricks that I can donate, first and foremost. A few things to perhaps help your journeys in the coming days. I will slowly begin to build on that connection. If there is anything additional that you would require, along the lines of a discussion or a conversation, just... They pause for a moment and kind of reach around with their big kind of like tendril arm and pull it back and offer this it's like a little it's a very plain silver ear cuff of sorts. It's kind of just made to just kind of sit on like the top part of your ear. It's very, very small. It's just designed to kind of like slot in. Pure kind of like silver, no decorations on it or anything. But they hand that over and just... I know that you are a tactile individual. So, here. Place a finger upon it. Say what you need to say in your mind. You'll be able to say it. And before you ask, it is on a magical frequency that will bypass your shielding. You do not need to take your ring off every time to talk with me.
That's good. So the queen sounds like she's dealt with a Ravathun before. Do you have any idea what she's been up to since I made everyone aware that a Ravathun is the big bad and that we need to do something?
Information gathering is not really my pastime. Not really my forte, I guess you could say. I am aware enough that Queen Elowyn was most certainly involved in a campaign with an essence of a Ravathun involved. I would assume that they are a resourceful individual and have been more than likely spreading the word and trying to work the diplomatic engine, but other than that, I wouldn't know for sure. I'm not quite as good at communication and observation as someone like Harmony is. That was much more their expertise than mine.
Is Harmony still working on reviving more of your people?
Kind of. They're also trying to set up a network that would allow them to keep an eye on ley lines is the wrong word, but the general kind of net of energy that flows throughout the planet, looking for disturbances. I think they're worried that... rightly worried that more issues could be on the way. Although you have charted out one, well, the main invasion force that seems to be popping in and taking individuals out, well, Harmony's concerned and just wants to keep all bases covered.
I am as well. Since they are aware that we're aware now, I'm afraid they will change their methods.
Since alerting Queen Elowen, there has been an increase in certain activities across the entirety of the planet, but we haven't quite narrowed down whether those are hostile or just individuals preparing. We are still getting used to the signatures of your magics and similar magics that you and your people use. It's very different to the way that we used to use those powers. We're going to need a little bit of time.
I can imagine waking up from a nap and having to deal with all this is probably a lot.
Yes, there's species that we didn't know existed. Our pets have created their own civilization and have apparently been revered as incredibly powerful individuals in your civilization, and it's all very strange.
That's
Oh, you don't think that things like elementals and dragons and all of those kind of creatures came from nowhere, did you?
I've never really thought about it, but them being your pets, I guess makes sense.
They were very different creatures thousands and thousands of years ago. With us gone for a considerable amount of time, I suppose it was only fair that they were the creatures that had begun to take a large amount of space on the planet. There's a lot of pieces of history here and there that either stem from us or before us, and perhaps that's another conversation to have when planes aren't in danger.
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna get to Ravathun, but we'll figure that out. There's got to be someone who can travel. Um, if we need the barrier from this side, not taken down, but maybe like a little hole for some of us to slip through, is that possible?
It appears as though they've mastered the ability to part the barrier for just a moment. It would make sense that you and yours would be able to as well.
I I've learned a lot. Um, I don't think I have any more questions for. I just have a bunch to think over. That 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 was a lot. Finding out that I was almost murdered as a child.
I would perhaps recommend taking a few further moments for yourself before spending some time in good company.
Speaking of that, you want to come to dinner?
This is all still very new news, and I think that perhaps seeing a slightly just kind of gestures towards themselves, I don't feel like this would be good for morale.
So you just have to work on a costume or disguise for next time.
That has also never been my forte, but I suppose that is
Well,
something that
because
we could. Hmm.
at some moment in time, there may be a time when you'll have to meet with the current leaders of this world and won't be able to protect from the shadows anymore. So just think about it.
You make an excellent point.
I mean, we will try to keep your secret for as long as possible, but secrets always have a way of getting out.
Most certainly. All right. I thank you for this opportunity. It has been interesting and enlightening.
Yes, and thank you for everything.
I'm but a moment away. And with that, the cloud almost that you've kind of been standing in at this point begins to break and dissipate, and there's still those occasional kind of flashes of color before it fully fades into the inky blackness. There's a moment, a beat of pause before your vision returns. You find yourself back in your quarters. The same flowers strewn around, the same smells, the same sights. There's a slight newfound sense of warmth. It's almost like a cup of tea on a cold day. There's just this slight pleasantness that sits in your chest.
She would get out of the tub. She would kind of immediately put her ring back on because she doesn't know what out there in the world is watching. Um, and she would just get ready for dinner and just think about things for a bit and then just go down to dinner. Um, she would put her best, there's no problems face on as best as she can
Everything's fine.
and goes and enjoys her family.
All right. Cool. With that being said, is there anything else that you wanted to cover in this little session?
That I can think of.
Okay.
She found out more about Arabathun, about how they handled it, about how Harmony omitted things.
Indeed. All right. Cool.
Happy about now being a bard lock.
Wonderful. Okay, so that'll about do us then. Fantastic. That was super fun. I'm glad. I always love a chance to sit and create with people. That's always just perfection. Um, yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, Rochelle, for jumping in and plotting and planning and scheming with me. It's been fun, and I'm super excited to see how it changes and how it develops and what more comes out and all of that good stuff. Oh, excuse me. Why don't you go ahead and let people know who you are, what you do, and where people find you?
Yeah, hi, I'm Rochelle. I'm Dragon Gem here on Twitch, the Dragon Gem on Twitter. I stream on my own channel on Sunday nights. I play lots of puzzle games, which the planning and applauding kind of comes in for. Um, all proceeds from my channel are donated to local animal shelters, so you should come by, drop some bits, drop some subs. But yeah, this has been really fun. You can catch me here every Monday for the or most Mondays. Mine and the Martyr. And you should continue to watch and see how these plans and plots unfurl.
Yes, it is wonderful. It's beautiful. I adore this group so much. I'm so happy that we're all just jumping in and creating and having fun in the nonsense world while the world ends around us. Both in game and out of game. Anyway, please go ahead and follow Rochelle, support them in all that they do. Hi, I'm Ray. I am the usual GM for the Mind of the Martyr. Today I have been a big prismatic blob thing and mostly just facilitating this wonderful little story. You can find me at Red Mage Ray on Twitter, where I do lots of TTRPG things. You'd usually find me up front or behind the scenes at Friends Who Roll Dice, who literally, as we're recording this, are going through their 24-hour stream for charity. So by the time you see this, it will be up on VOD, so you should go ahead and check that out. We got some cool games, we got some fantastic guests, and we're raising money, so it's always a fun time when charity incentives make the games go absolutely wild. Someone is still popping fireworks in the background, which is very, very helpful, and unfortunately I live too close to a field to be able to block that out. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Big thank you again to Rochelle. We're going to go ahead and spread the love that you've given us, move that elsewhere. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to tune in Mondays for more Mind of the Martyr to see how all of this ends up happening. And yeah, take care, friends. Hydrate, medicate, all of that good stuff, and keep moving forward, and we will see you next time. Take care now. Bye.